Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my opinion. And today, my video will be regarding the last two tests that India have played against Australia. And it was just today that they managed to draw the third test in what looked like, improbable circumstances because you look at India's batting lineup, without Virat Kohli and also with the injuries that they had, even the players who were playing, you kind of thought that with one less really kind of big name in the side, you kind of thought that with this Australian attack, batting a whole day would be difficult. And especially after Rahane got out 10 balls into the day, I was thinking, oh no, what's going to happen? But I feel that Rishabh Pant, first of all, it was a very surprise move actually because I thought Rishabh Pant in at five was. I understand the move because straight away I could see that they wanted to hit Nathan Lyon out of the attack, and I thought it was a very good ploy. And in the end, it worked because he scored 97 of 118, and even Pujara as well. I thought that since the first few balls that Nathan Lyon bowled in the day, he tried to use his feet, and even though he really didn't get boundaries off him at first, as far as I watched, he was just kind of getting singles. But the thing is that he looked to be attacking, and it was something that he was criticized for in the first innings. And again, I would never criticize Pujara on strike rate. I just feel that he's there to kind of whittle down the attacks. And I talked about in my last video the fact that especially with a four bowler attack, I feel like a huge part of kind of weathering the attack is to tire them out and wear them down, and that's exactly what Pujara's thinking was in the last tour of Australia in 2018 and also in this one as well. And he played a vital innings of 77 of 205 balls, and that combined with Rishabh Pant's 97 of 118. Uh, it lasted India for a long while, and in the end, India were, I think, 250 for four. And even when both of those two got out, and once again, it took a good ball to dismiss Pujara, and Hazelwood dismissed him. And the thing is that once those two got out, there was still quite a long while to go. I think they got out about the 88 over mark, 88 point something, and then the actual day went on to about 131 point something overs. And so Ashwin and Vihari had to, block it out for the rest of that time, and they did exactly that. And I feel like, especially for Vihari, he was kind of playing for his place because he hadn't had a great series, and really, apart from West Indies, where he scored 100 and he scored his 50 on debut against England, 56, he hadn't really done much and got big scores, despite the fact that we all know he's a good player because we've seen his record in domestic cricket, and therefore he does warrant a place in the side because at his position, where he'd usually bat at number six, there aren't really many players who have as good numbers as he has. So honestly, I feel that again it was justified that he was in the side. But I feel that then again, today's inning, well, the innings of 23 of 161, I think it was a strike rate of 14. He had a job to do, and that was to draw out the test match. The thing is, the way that Pant and Pujara are playing, I don't think India was thinking about the win or the draw. They were just kind of taking it as it went. And towards the end, I think that it got to the fact that, especially how it all finished, it was just a draw was just as good as a win, and especially a draw where the last two players who batted were injured, and I think Vihari had a hamstring tear, and Ashwin had a back niggle, and Pujara was actually playing with a hand injury that he'd sustained. So India do have a lot of injuries, and even in that, to come up against this world class attack, the best attack that they can face, because I'm saying if you compare the Indian and Australian attacks, and if you put like the first choice Indian attack, let's say, because these seamers are very good, but apart from Bumrah, obviously Ishan Sharma and Mohammad Shami aren't there. So if you put the other two in, I feel like India are the way better old ball attack as opposed to new. They are still good in the new ball, but I feel like we've seen even in this series how, yes, apart from Bumrah, there have been other bowlers, but we've even seen in general that Australian bowlers, especially with the consistency at which they hit their lengths, they, I think, do have the edge with the new ball, but with the older ball, definitely the Indian attack. And so, yeah, that was just my segue into that. And what was I saying? Yes, so Ashwin and Vihari, despite their injuries and despite the whole sledging incident between Tim Payne and Ashwin, which Ashwin gave a very good reply, they weathered it out in the end. I feel like that was the first time where Australia kind of really started sledging in the series. And before, there was just a friendly exchange between Tim Payne and Virat Kohli in the first test. But apart from that, they really kind of tried to adopt this friendly approach. And that's the reason why it was kind of like, has it kind of lost its the kind of intensity there. I mean, the cricket has been good, but as it kind of lost its the sledging aspect of it that there used to be in the past. But I saw that with this test and with the final day, I feel like the reason why they sledged India was because they realized India were frustrating them, and especially with Rishabh Pant hitting Nathan Lyon out of the attack. And they must have felt really happy when they got Ajinkya Rahane out, because I mean, I felt like, and I'll get to this also from the first test. So sorry, second test is that Pujara and Rahane, I feel like them two playing well was kind of India's chances were in those two playing well, and I felt that. And when Rahane got out at the 10th ball, I kind of thought, right, there isn't someone else who can really kind of weather the storm. Yes, there's Vihari, but he's been a bit short of runs and his confidence would be a bit shaky, and plus he's injured. So if you factor in those things, my thing was actually making sure that Pujara and Rahane batted a long time, maybe 40 or 50 overs, and one of them stayed until the end, or even if they got out just towards the end, then the others can kind of come in and play the blocking game. But I felt that Rishabh Pant took some serious, I have been a big fan of his, because even despite all the criticism, I mean, I was actually there when, yeah, I think it was in the fifth day of the fifth test. I actually went to watch the game live, and I saw KL Rahul's 149 live and Rishabh Pant's 117. And despite the fact that India lost the game, they scored 345 in the end, and it was great to see the fight they showed. I thought it was a great moment in Indian cricket that, especially seeing that live at the ground. And yes, India didn't win the game, but I think that it was a great watch for us all Indian fans, and it just kind of showed that he came into that innings averaging, I think, 9, and then he scored that 117, and I think after that he scored 92 against the West Indies. And so he has shown these moments also in T20 cricket where, for me, he doesn't have a weakness at all. I mean, he plays spin well and he plays pace well, and when he explodes, I mean, I feel that he's the best number 4 in T20 cricket, and that's why I've been a fan of him for a long time. And despite all the criticism, yes, his keeping needs a bit of work, but I've been really impressed with how he's attacked the bowlers when he's batting. And it's just been, I feel that in this series, strike rates have been generally low, and I feel like the times when both sides have struggled generally with the bat, and I do feel that it's because we've seen Smith against Ashwin, and obviously, generally how the series has gone is that when you try and just block it out too much, as Shane Warne said, you get one with your name on it. And he said that for Nathan Lyon. He also said it generally, but he also said it for Nathan Lyon, because the Indians were blocking Nathan Lyon at first. But then when Rishabh Pant came in, and obviously I showed that I talked about the fact that Pujara really wanted to show some intent, whether it even be positive foot movement just to get a single. And yeah, Pant hit Lyon out of the attack, and you could see by the reaction. Yes, we kind of thought Nathan Lyon was in the game, but it was just when we've seen when Pant hits, I mean, he usually goes on and keeps on hitting, and so he was nailing everything. And in the end, Nathan Lyon, it seemed like he was in the game, but with the way that Pant was going, 97 of 118 in, where you want to draw a test match and is chasing 407, I really thought that it mentally kind of uplifted the side. And I think that it gave everyone, yes, they would have already had self-belief, because they would have shown that, look, they would have knew that, look, we got bowled out for 36 in the first test, and it was kind of completely unprecedented because we scored 244 in the first innings of that, and we had a lead of we had a lead of 53. And yeah, so they would have still had some self belief, but I thought that Rishabh Pant's innings really kind of, it was really good to watch because against such a class attack, hitting their lead spinner, only spinner and world class spinner out of the attack, it was a great thing. And yeah, I'm really happy that he got the runs that he got, and I'm very sad that he missed out on his century, which he thoroughly deserved. And yeah, I thought that as far as the bowling was concerned, I mean, look, I can't really criticize the bowling. I thought that they did get the early wickets, and I'm not gonna blame Warner for not getting many runs in this test because he's just coming back, and the last thing you want to come back to is a test match being an opening batsman after having an injury layoff. Yes, he only got the injury in this summer where India was playing against Australia in the ODIs, but still, the last thing you want to come back to is, and this is also in the case of Rohit Sharma, who had a longer layoff and hadn't really played since the IPL final. The last thing you want to come back to is a test match, and you're facing, well, as I said, the best attack that David Warner could face. Well, I understand the other main bowlers weren't there, but still, it was a very good attack and the best attack that Rohit Sharma can face. And so, yeah, I'm not gonna blame David Warner for not getting many runs. And again, I'm very happy that Rohit Sharma got runs, and also he looked very fluent when doing so. So getting back to the bowling, I felt that both sides did bowl well, and I feel like the Indian bowlers, even from the second test where Mohammad Shami was injured, and you've kind of seen that Bumrah has had to lead the attack. I felt that he's been helped by good performances from Mohammad Siraj. And despite the fact that Ashwin didn't have his best test match this time, I felt that, for the first two tests, his economy rate was 2.08, and he got 10 wickets at 17, an average of 17, which, I mean, we've all kind of, not we've all, but there's been a lot of talk about, his overseas record and everything. And I felt that now I think that talk can pretty much disappear because we've seen in 2018 his 3 for 49 in Adelaide. And also, he does get injuries in overseas tours. And that's the thing. He's come here, he's bowled very well in the first two tests. And he's got through the third one as well, and he has sustained a bit of an injury, and I hope that he can play the last test. But yeah, it just shows that he's such a good player, and even though you could say his batting had gone down from where it would have been, I feel that he has kind of got 20s and 30s here and there, and in this innings, I felt that no one really expected him to bat for that long, and we kind of all thought he was gonna get out after a while, but no, they both stood their ground, him and Vihari, and they hit their fair share of boundaries as well. Ashwin himself hit 7 boundaries out of 39 runs, and yeah, they managed to draw out the test, and great for them. Navdeep Saini, I'm not going to blame him because he did find his rhythm in the second innings. And in the first innings, he was a bit nervous. And I think he went for almost 5 and over, and he got 2 for 65. And it was like the first ODI in Australia as well. He also seemed a bit off colour in that. But then again, I feel like he isn't that young, but I'm saying that he's relatively inexperienced as far as internationals are concerned. And so if you just give him time, I thought that the second innings he bounced back very well, and especially that unplayable ball he bought to Matthew Wade. Especially Matthew Wade was looking to get some runs because I think 3 times in a row he tried to come down the track to the spinner and he got out, and it was really 3 ugly dismissals in the end. And he was kind of thinking, so it seemed like he was thinking, is that, if I can get some runs here, then my place will be safe for the next test. But now that he's got out here, then again, it was an unplayable ball. I'm not gonna blame him. It was a very unplayable ball, but I'm saying that he probably has to get a substantial score soon. Otherwise, they may look for any other number 5 that's available. So yeah, that was, as far as the things I've covered, that was the third test, and I'll come back to anything else if I think about it later. But I think for the third test, that was about it. So coming to the second test, and the second test was again, obviously, after India got all out for 36, and no Virat Kohli, no Mohammad Shami, no Ishan Sharma, and especially we've seen that KL Rahul, without playing a game, has now been ruled out. And so India did have their injury concerns from the second test as well, and more absentees. And the reason why I kind of didn't expect them to, obviously as an Indian and wanting India to win, I kind of still had this thing. We still have a very good squad, as I mentioned in my previous video, and that we could still do it considering the frailties in the Australian, especially batting lineup. But I still kind of tried to be realistic about it, and I still thought that even in the first test, I felt that Ajinkya Rahane's 112 was such a vital component in India getting to 326, because apart from that, I mean, Jadeja scored a 50, but apart from that, there weren't really many substantial contributions. Yes, Shubman Gill scored 45, but even that actually was, there was a lot of luck involved in that, and especially, all right, again, unplayable deliveries from Josh Hazelwood where the ball just diagonally moves back in and it gets the inside edge and goes for four. And he had, a few of those, especially at the start of day two. But so was it day two? Yes, I think. Yes, it was. Yes, it was day two. And yeah, but apart from that, India still got the runs. It was 64 for 3 at one stage. And from then on, I thought, well, what was going to happen? Because 197 runs seemed far away at that stage if you looked at the fact that India do have a long tail. But then again, 20 odd scores from Vihari and Rishabh Pant kind of led a recovery job with Ajinkya Rahane still batting. And the partnership between Rahane and Jadeja kind of took the game away from Australia because India were building on a substantial lead. And then, yeah, they got 326, and Australia got bowled out very cheaply after that, and India won the series. So, no, sorry. India won the test match. And yeah, I feel that with these last two tests, I feel that India have got, momentum, despite the fact that in various points, before the test and during it, it's kind of been the fact that it would seem that the Australian bowlers have too much firepower, and it was kind of like, well, would we be able to kind of mount a good challenge? But they have done, and it's been such a great recovery, and it's been such a memorable, two tests to watch. And even the first one, I mean, apart from the 36 all out, India dominated the game. So this team has shown some great character, and I hope that we can turn up in the last test match and win the series, because we thoroughly deserve it. And without Virat Kohli, without Ishan Sharma, without Mohammad Shami, without KL Rahul, who, as far as his confidence is concerned, I mean, you would have thought, especially at the second test, there was a shout that he should be played instead of Vihari just because of the confidence he carried, in my view. But yeah, then again, Vihari played and KL Rahul's been ruled out, so no KL Rahul, and it's just that there were a lot of injuries and absentees, and still the fact that India managed to mount a very good challenge to the Australians and then go into the fourth test of the series at 1-1, I think it's great. And yeah, it's just that I'm very happy for India, and I hope that they can win the last test match. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and please share this video with your friends. And remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?